It has been an interesting and exciting time to be working, and also very challenging and stressful at times. I think our A3, as Pam has introduced, very quickly we realized as a team that in the Future of Work team, that we are going to need a multidisciplinary approach to dealing with the different complexities and challenges that our clients were facing. As we've started to see the acceleration of the future of work and people having to adopt new technologies, they're having to adapt the way they work, adapt their business processes, adapt their models, and ultimately looking for opportunities to accelerate. We recognize that there are some real practical complexities and decisions and choices that they need to make. And so when we thought about how best to approach this, we pulled together a multidisciplinary team. And I think for me, that really does reflect a future of work driver around collaboration, multi-skilled teams. So the way we thought about the work we had to do and the jobs to be done was quite different to approaching this as this is a people or an HR issue, or this is a strategy issue, or this is a risk issue, or this is a real estate issue, or this is a people policy or a legal issue. We recognized that this response needed to be integrated and holistic in terms of starting to think through the possibilities, the challenges, and the opportunities that we are having to face in this new and shifting reality. When I was asked to pick up and look at the solution, and as a firm we'd recognized that this was not something that we're going to deal with by a different service offering or practice. It actually required a holistic and integrated approach by us as a firm to start solving very quickly the new challenges that our clients were facing, and really supporting in how do we make changes to enable us to move into this new future. Because as you've said, Pam, the future of work is not something that's in the future, we are living it now. And many of the barriers that we faced, or the difficulties we had in getting people aligned around choices and decisions, are now things that are having to be done quite quickly. So in assembling this multidisciplinary team, we actually started to understand what were the key areas and decisions that our clients needed to make, and how best could we work together to support them. And it's been a fascinating journey and a massive learning for us as a team as we've gone and engaged with clients. Because a lot of what we're facing, there is a level of uncertainty. We recognize that we're starting to move towards a hybrid reality. There's new changes that are coming in, but exactly where we land is not 100% sure. But we are starting to get a directional view. And I think for us, that's the key thing, is we need to, as leaders, across all our industries, across all our sectors, in our own disciplines, take a step back and think about those three components of our A3. What is it that we're going to have to adapt? Our business strategy, our processes, our policies. What are the new things that we're going to have to adopt in terms of technologies, policies, ways of working? And ultimately, what are the things that we want to accelerate to ensure we really are positioned, one, to have a sustainable business and organization, but two, to be prepared for what will exist in the next 2 to 3 years. And so now is the time that we need to start building and laying those foundations if we haven't done that. And as we go through the different conversations today in the panel, I think you'll start seeing that different clients, different industries are in different places. Some have been able to get there quicker, some are lagging, some have been able to do it really well in certain areas of their business or in their organization, others have struggled more. And that's kind of the picture. But for us, you put a future of work lens on everything that we do now. Because as we move into this fourth industrial revolution, we recognize that the work we do and the value we create as humans is going to be different. And so it's going to be quite critical for us to think about what is this work? How is work changing? How is the workforce changing in terms of who's going to deliver that work? And then ultimately the workplace, which has been the key point of disruption. This has been the accelerator. We got pushed out of the traditional workplace and into a new workplace, which forced us to adopt new things, to rethink our workforce and rethink our work. And so we've had a mixed experience. There have been areas where we've seen increases in productivity. We've seen obviously massive disruption in certain areas where potentially continuity has not been so easy when we've had a mixed, particularly when we got to hard lockdown. We've had to have people on site, so there's been challenges in that. As we went into lockdown, many of our clients recognized that some were able to continue working, some were able to move their work off-site, but we've had a mixed bag. Some have seen increased productivity, others have actually had quite a bit of disruption. And initially, there was probably a little bit of, wow, we can do this, we're managing it, we're surviving, and we very quickly got on with it in terms of business continuity. And I think most of our clients and most industries have responded pretty well if they've been able to sustain their work. However, as this reality and this extended lockdown and repeated lockdowns has continued, there has been some thinking that, wow, there are challenges. It's not all easy, and we are going to have to really start changing and making some fundamental changes. And I think for me, that's where our A3 kind of thinking comes in, that adapt, adopt, and accelerate. And so for us, there are kind of 5 areas. The first is really thinking about your business strategy and operating model. Where is the focus? How is that changing? And how do we shift and organize ourselves differently? The second is really around risk. We have to start rethinking our risk and how we apply risk. We've been hit with an impact on our risk processes through this pandemic, but that's had a ripple effect in terms of multiple new risks that have been introduced. Just a small thing, people moving off site. What do we do around data security, health and safety? Key things that we hadn't had to consider before suddenly become quite critical. And then it's been around the real estate. Many of our clients have got big offices, big spaces where people would spend time and go to work. Now, we're not sure what we're going to do with those spaces. Do we need them? Do they need to evolve? And so there's a big shift around what the office is going to be in the future. Our people practices, how we manage performance, how we connect with people. This whole idea about when somebody's at work, they're working. Now we have to change our mindset. Actually, when somebody's not at work, they're working. And I think that's created a whole set of new opportunities around how we manage our talent, how we manage our people, how we keep people engaged. And in fact, we've seen an increase in that focus on humanization and connection and engagement. Perhaps it's had the most focus because we've moved away from work-life balance into this new idea of work-life integration. So how do we create people policies and practices that really support that? And then finally, we've started to look at the kind of practical things around the legal and tax implications, because those are often the barriers that limit us from making a shift. Our employment contracts aren't designed for this new reality. Our business policies are not designed for this new reality. In fact, often public policies and government policies aren't aligned to that. And we're starting to see a big shift, not only in the public domain, in business domain, around our legal policies, procedures. And in that is this idea around mobility, because more and more there is a pressure on our teams that deal with mobility to start rethinking around how they enable that in different locations, different geographies, different countries, a big shift. So this multidisciplinary team and the panel that we're going to introduce you to in a moment really will talk you through each one of those dimensions in terms of how we seeing the shifts in our clients, what are the things that they're starting to do to evolve that. And finally, then, we're also going to look at it by industry, because obviously every industry has got a different set of realities. A mining operation might be very different to a bank. A telecoms client, very different to a public sector client in terms of what you are dealing with as an organization. Or often our consumer and our retail clients are really shifting significantly in an area that's being heavily disrupted in terms of how people engage and consume their services and products. So an exciting, challenging, and often daunting experience in working in this space, but for us been an awesome opportunity to really learn and grow and navigate it. And I think what we've created is we can't always predict with certainty what the future will be. However, with a framework, with the right deliberation, with the right ability and capacity to step back and start making some very strategic and deliberate choices, we do have the potential to start navigating this differently and getting to a better outcome that hopefully will deliver a more sustainable business that's positioned to thrive.